at stltoday.com. Good morning, Tony.
As far as you know.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, when's the last time you saw me in person after the eclipse? You haven't.
I have not seen you since the eclipse. That is true. That's why I said rumors were false.
Yeah,
right?
rumors
Being what they are. All right. So this Scottrade debacle continues. What's the latest now?
Yeah, well, my Monday column went into some of the background that's actually been going on behind the scenes. A lot of people are focusing on the lawsuit brought by attorneys Eric Beath and John Amon on behalf of Alderman Kara Spencer and former city attorney Jim Wilson and Jeanette Mott Oxford, a former state rep. And while that lawsuit clearly matters right now, and the Blues responding to that lawsuit by trying to force Darlene Green to sign the bonds, the key thing to focus on, and what I looked at in my column, is that there have been these behind-the-scenes negotiations for the last couple of months to try to get Tishaura Jones, the city treasurer, to use her bonding authority since Darlene Green won't. And Darlene Green was involved in those negotiations, and the mayor's office was involved in those negotiations. And what my column pointed out is that the Treasurer Jones, had a couple of requests if she was going to be involved. And one was that there had to be a community benefits agreement between the Blues and the city, and that the financing agreement would have to be redone so that it wasn't all general revenue. The city told her no, and the problem now is two different things have happened that make Jones sort of put her out of the box in terms of even being somebody who can help finance the Scottrade renovations. The city passed a bill that takes money from her office into general revenue, and she argues that that bill is unconstitutional and is going to be overturned. And also, she's being sued by somebody who says that the parking commission is unconstitutional, and the city has filed a brief saying that they agree. So here's the city that behind the scenes is trying to say, hey, Tishaura Jones, why don't you use your bonding authority to help us out of this Scottrade mess? And in the meantime, they're filing legal motions saying you don't have the very authority that we're trying to get you to use right now to bail us out. And so it's a mess. It's just an utter mess. And what ultimately is going to happen is probably a court of law, but maybe the politicians will go back to the drawing table. The renovations are being done. They're being done right now. The Blues already put all that stuff, already signed contracts, the work's undergoing, all of that stuff. And so the question now is just who's ultimately going to pay for it. Right now, the Blues are on the hook.
But so back up one second. This has already been approved by the alderman, right? So
approved by the alderman,
right?
But the comptroller says that she is exercising her authority to protect the city's credit rating and will not issue the bonds because she thinks it will damage the city's credit rating. And so she is basically standing in the way of those bonds being issued so that investors can ultimately pay for the work. And then number two, there's the Kara Spencer, Eric Beath, John Amon, Jim Wilson, Jeanette Oxford lawsuit that says that what's going on right now is unconstitutional anyway, that the city, even if the aldermen vote to do so, can't just hand $130 million over to a private vendor, which is what they're arguing is happening in the Scottrade situation.
It sounds like, and you're painting a picture of a banana republic.
Well, it's a mess because the left arm doesn't know what the right arm's doing. Nobody gets along. There's a lot of politics that goes behind the scenes. Ultimately, one of the things that this controversy does is draw attention yet again to the fact that we do sports wrong here. That most other cities our size have regional sports authorities or regional solutions to this. And as long as we're going to depend on just taxpayers in the city of St. Louis to try to fund our sports arenas and other downtown amenities, we are going to have problems like this because both politically and financially it doesn't make sense.
How much of this, Tony, is because Mayor Slay pulled the levers behind the scenes and ruled with an iron fist and nobody would have gone, around his back or whatever else, but now that he's gone, sort of that whole power structure is gone, and these aldermen and everybody else thinks they can do whatever they want whenever they want.
Well, part of it is you have Mayor Slay on his way out moving the ball on a lot of different things, and then Mayor Cruzen comes in. Keep in mind, Mayor Cruzen voted against the Scottrade bill. Now, I don't know if that was I'm running for mayor, I'm against the Scottrade bill, or I don't know if it was more like Lewis Reed, I was against it before I was for it, before I was against it before I was for it, or if she really has a problem with the Scottrade bill and now is just trying to execute as mayor because she's got this bill that was passed by the Board of Aldermen and she's got to run the city. So I don't know exactly where the mayor comes down on this, but no doubt the fact that this moved forward under a previous mayor and during the middle of a mayoral election, and that feelings are still hurt over that mayoral election, and that we're about to have a Board of Aldermen president election, and people are starting to scamper and sort of position themselves. All of those things play into it. So does the fact that the county wasn't involved.
Yeah.
All those things are part of what we have going on right now.
Didn't this sort of play out in a somewhat similar fashion with the Edward Jones Dome or the TWA Dome when the Rams to build that the Virus Jones came out and said, no, we're not going to do this?
I was not here then. I don't know that full history, but one of the keys to that project is that project, and it continues to be that, we're still paying for it. That was a city, county, state funded project. And so even though there were a lot of problems with that dome, even though that dome ultimately was not a high enough tier to keep the NFL Rams here, that project was at least approached in a more regional financing fashion.
Right.
And that needs to be at least somewhat the model, I think, going forward as we continue to talk about whether it's Scottrade, whether it's soccer, whether it's basketball, whether it's redoing the convention center the next time they come around for Bush. I mean, developing a regional funding model for these things is paramount if we're going to go forward without these sort of controversies.
Tony Messenger, never dull around here, stltoday.com, and Tuesdays and Thursdays with us. Tony, have a good day.
Happy day after the eclipse.